Good morning. My name is Daniel James. Today I'm presenting Tide Runner Fishing Charters um, as part of the Business 139 Entrepreneurship class. Tide Runner is going to be a guided fishing experience company based on the North Carolina coast. We focus on safe, fun, and unforgettable fishing trips for tourists, families, and beginner anglers. Um, a little bit about myself. Been a contractor for a number of years. Served in the Army for a little over 8 years. Started my first business when I was 17 and started actually running it when I was 18. That was a wildland firefighting company based out of Bend, Oregon. It was a very cool opportunity. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. This wouldn't be my first time starting a business, but it is the first time in this kind of setting. So let's just jump into it. So Tide Runner Fishing Charters is a coastal North Carolina LLC, is what it would start as. It would be great to see it go to more multiple boats, but the logistics of that kind of gets a little crazy. But we provide guided fishing and just boating experiences in general. So we intend to offer inshore fishing trips, offshore family-friendly outings, and sunset cruises, which is just basically, putting everybody on the boat, make sure they're nice and comfortable with cold drinks and maybe even the opportunity to do like a catch and cook kind of thing where you just catch, one or two fish and put them right on the grill. I think that'd be a great summertime memory or in-season memory for families. And our purpose is just to make fishing as accessible as possible, safe, enjoyable, and also want to include education in that. A lot of fishermen just, they don't really know exactly what they're doing, and everybody has to start somewhere. I actually learned from a friend of mine. He's taught me quite a bit. So, yeah. So the problem we identified is that a lot of people visiting coastal North Carolina, they want to experience fishing or boating, just being out there, like I said, that sunset cruise or whatever. But they have pretty major barriers. Boats are not cheap, especially ones that will comfortably put you out into the ocean through inlets, which can be kind of crazy. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the like boat fail videos or like the inlet ones, especially, but they're pretty scary places, or they can be if you're not going at the right time or don't know what you're doing. Um, so again, they don't have access to equipment, and beginners they often lack knowledge or just the confidence to go out there on their own. I mean, even me, I would hate to be out there on a boat alone, even with the protections like the Simrad and the equipment and the radios and the GPS stuff. Just because you got to sit there and wait, and you don't know when they're coming, if they're coming, in the event of a major breakdown or something like that. Um, the other thing, families they struggle to find safe, structured outdoor activities, and this is just something where they literally just get on the boat. I'm going to do everything. Handle the bait. I'm going to catch bring all the fish off the hooks. All they have to do is just enjoy themselves, and then a service value add that we could do at the end would be to offer cleaning services on those fish, or even include it in the pricing, depending. You know what I mean? There's lots of options. Um, Probably just try what the different options and see how far we can get, and just see which one's best. You know what I mean? So the solution to the problems we just mentioned, we provide that fully guided fishing experience. We supply everything needed: the boat, the equipment, the guidance. Obviously, we're safety focused, beginner friendly, and we just want to take all the stress out of it for them. You don't have to back the boat down the ramp in front of 50 other people or deal with delays or problems and maintenance on the boat, which I can tell you firsthand is very expensive. Um, and so our value proposition is we make it easy, safe, and fun for everyone to get on board, and go enjoy the outdoors. Okay, so let's talk about the market opportunity. I think I might have slipped a slide. I did, and I don't know how to go back. But I do have the notes here for slide 5, and I'm obviously going to submit the slides to you. So um, this is the perfect time to start the business because outdoor recreation and tourism, it's growing rapidly. Uh, North Carolina tourism alone contributes over $30 billion with a B annually to the state economy. And at the same time, outdoor recreation spending in the U.S., and there's other opportunities around us, say Virginia, South Carolina, places like that. Um, so yeah, the serviceable market at the start would be just North Carolina fishing charter markets. Um, so um, what we realize is that people are increasingly spending money on experiences rather than physical goods like that boat, which makes the business model very timely, in my opinion. There's a lot of spending. We're seeing a lot more traveling, especially after COVID. People are getting out of their homes and wanting to go do something unforgettable, memorable, but still safe. Okay, so now down to market opportunity. I'm sorry, I couldn't figure out how to go back on that slide in this recording. So hopefully you can go review it. But now I'm on slide 6. The total addressable market includes the entire U.S. outdoor recreation industry, which is huge. It's massive. The serviceable market obviously is North Carolina. And to reach our realistic serviceable area market, we only really need to get around 1 to 200 charters annually, 1 to 200 charters annually is the serviceable area market. That's how many we can expect to actually put together and have these guided trips. My revenue potential here, I think I'm actually a little off on that. I changed my numbers a little bit later in the research, or I didn't update my notes. I'm not 100% sure, but we're having a great revenue potential for the 75,000. 1 to 200 charters. We're going to get into that later as far as the financials and the numbers. But yeah, so the total market is about 800 billion. The SAM here is about $1.5 billion. That's the serviceable market, and then the break even here. Oh, I did it again. I don't like that it changes slides. So our startup cost is approximately $75,000. That would cover a used boat that probably needs renovation, but that is better than buying a brand new boat, which is dramatically more expensive, and then still having to customize it even further. So, get a nicer used boat that needs a little bit of work, maybe a new motor and some electronics upgrades. That would also cover licensing and launch expenses, LLC startup, insurance requirements. There is a test to take to pass that charter captain licensure. I believe it's around $600 last time I looked. But something I've always wanted to do. And I think the beautiful part about this is, for 8 days a month, it's break even on that because our fixed costs are around $3,200. I put insurance, maintenance, marketing. I also put fuel in here, but I think that fuel is going to vary a lot per trip. Sunset cruises might use a little bit less, might use a little bit more. The kind of fishing you're doing is definitely going to be changing. If you're trolling, dragging lures behind the boat, or whatever, you're going to be using a lot more fuel than if you were just, using a trolling motor, the battery powered one, and just holding your spot where you're at. That just uses battery and you plug it back in when you get home and you're done. Obviously, you still have to get out to where the fishing area is, and that is going to change throughout the year. So I can't quite call that a fixed cost. That was a mistake on my end. That is definitely a variable cost. But yeah, with only 8 charters a month, that's only 8 days a month of chartered days. I think that's very achievable, and we could definitely have 75 to 200K in profit the first year if we can fill those 8, if we can fill them. Marketing would consist of, oh no, we're going to get to that. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So our competitor analysis, I looked up a few. I didn't want to put anybody's business out here, in case they're potentially ever going to see this. So I didn't want to compare anybody's actual prices or anything like that. But there's several fishing charter companies in coastal North Carolina and other places. I've actually taken a freshwater trip to go get striped bass in South Carolina. It was a great experience. It was only a couple $100. I mean, really, he taught us everything he knew the whole time, and that's really who I'm modeling this business after. Um, and like I said, that's not the only charter trip I've ever taken. It's just the only one where the captain was the owner and was just throwing knowledge out the entire time. If I had a question, he definitely wanted to be there as a resource on how to target those specific species of fish. And so that's where we would differentiate ourselves. It would be a more educational, beginner friendly, and personalized experience with a strong focus on safety and customer comfort. We're seeking 75,000 to launch Tide Runner. This is what I started with, right? Obviously, I'm looking to get it as a loan because I can make payments back to the bank and still retain full ownership. And I personally have enough assets to put forward as collateral to secure this loan. So I would be the investor in this business. Um, but yeah, those funds will be used for boat acquisition, equipment, licensing, insurance, marketing launch. And if there was an investment opportunity, looking at the numbers, I think I'd be potentially willing to give up, 25 to 33% for the full 75,000. Not really something I would want. I would want to keep as much in house as possible because then I'm my boss. I have nobody to report to, even a minority partner. Um, it could be beneficial too because you kind of keep each other motivated. But they would have to be a captain themselves. If I was the licensed one, um, and I took on an investor, I would want them to be able to jump on the boat, and so I can take a break and do whatever percent of work that they get, right? Um, but yeah, I think with this investment and with the research and everything I put together, I think this has the potential to become one of the leading coastal tourism experiences in North Carolina over the next few years. Um, I have personally seen a good friend of mine. He went out and gave it a shot just on the weekends and stuff. And what he realized is after the first 6 months or something like that, he was making more money doing the charters than he was at his full-time job as an engineer, 6-figure salary plus. So he was very pleasantly surprised to find that, work just a few days a week, 4 or 5 days a week. I think he already owns his boat. That might be partially why, but work 4 or 5 days a week and you can make a pretty good living for yourself doing something you love. All right. I did quite a bit of reading, looking stuff up. Uh, we used Statista, obviously the book from OpenStax, the entrepreneurship textbook, the American Sport Fishing Association, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, the marine manufacturers, and then the Tourism Economic Impact Report there. That was actually kind of cool to see all the different numbers and all the different things you could do on that website. So I do recommend checking it out. But I want to thank you for your time and consideration. I'm always open to questions. If you need anything from me, I'm happy to answer. Have a good day.